introduce him. Was that good? He'll come up? Yeah.
There.
Good evening and welcome. We're so happy that you could join us for our Tuesday, April 8th Committee of the Whole. We welcome you, parents, students, and staff, and all of our community members that are able to join us. This evening, we'll open with a welcome, and that's what I'm taking care of, Ms. Lynn Strobel, and I'm happy to be here. And we'll have an invocation followed by the national anthem and the pledge. So if you'll join me, if you're able to stand, let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the hand of protection over the recent storms last week and this week. Father, we ask you to bless those that were not as fortunate, especially in Tennessee, as they recover. Father, we thank you as we count down to spring break and anticipate that week. We thank you, Father, that you'll make us ever mindful of the opportunity that we have to pause and think about Holy Week and think about the great sacrifice and blessings that you provide for each of us as we individually decide to receive that. This evening, Father, we desire your wisdom, and we thank you for this opportunity to serve you for what's best for the children of Colleton County. And now we pray together as you taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And now, Mr. Finnegan, we appreciate your ensemble, and we'll let you introduce them after it's over, if you don't mind. Thank you. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Finnegan, would you be so kind as to introduce? You overwhelmed us with that ensemble, and we appreciate that. Would you introduce the members of the ensemble?
This is our newly formed favorite blues ensemble. Today we have baritone saxophone Sheldon Handy. We have next to drum major Michelle Christopher on alto sax, Debbie Smith, Elena Brown, and Josh King. All four of those are alto saxophones. And then on tenor saxophone we have Desmond Jenkins, senior Carl Harrison, and flute, clappers, and saxophone.
That's awesome.
Mr. Finnegan, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, thank you very much for bringing them. We always like to be able to highlight the band, not only for what they are for our school district, but also for our community. Just next time, if we could just throw in a couple of trombones in there and make it.
I'll work on that. We'll get you the horn out. job we did this morning.
Are there other board members? I know Mr. Irwin was a band member. Are there others?
Well, I was simply going to say that's the right key. Once I have vocalized, I'm going to sing that with you all one day. Okay?
Several of you up here that we could add into the ensemble.
Mr. Stavender, were you band?
I played the tuba.
I thought. So we're either band moms or brothers or sisters or parents and grandparents, and we're so thankful for music, and music has been a part of our tradition here, the Band of Blue, forever, and we had strong chorus, and we appreciate that coming through the ranks, those of us that are seniors. So we are proud of, we asked for one sack, and you impressed us with an ensemble. So thank you, and Mr. Irwin, of course, is going to raise it to a higher expectation. So we thank you for what can come next.
Well, Mr. Finnegan, I never could blow them horns.
Madam Chair, if I may also thank Mr. Finnegan for the update you provided the board recently on all the activities of the Band of Blue. Thank you for keeping us updated.
We've had a very busy music in our schools going for March. We've had an outstanding music.
Thank you. And those of you who got to attend the spring concert, I'm sure you were impressed. Moving along, we're happy to have our Colleton Academy for Success bringing us our mission statement tonight. And we always appreciate when students can be here and every opportunity for you to shine and have the opportunity to speak in front of adults, because that's not easy even for adults. So let us see you shine.
Hello, my name is Shamari Ford, and today I will be reading the mission statement. The mission statement states that Carlton County School District will prepare every student to graduate with a 21st century education to be globally competitive for their choosing college or career path. I will have Terrence Frazier. He's going to be telling y'all a little bit about our program. Thank you.
My name is Terrence Frazier, and with me is Shamari Ford and Malachi Singleton. We are a part of the Pathway Club. A grant was written by Dr. Daniels before she left. The grant was written for CAT students to go out and do some service learning. Service learning is an educational approach that integrates community service with academic learning, allowing us to apply classroom knowledge to real-world issues while addressing community needs. We did our service learning at Edgewood Baptist Church, which is in walking distance. From Edgewood Baptist Church, with us, we have Mrs. Doris Millers and Mrs. Samantha and her husband. They will come briefly before us to share our service learning experience with them. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate your sponsors being here.
Good afternoon. My name is Doris Miller. I'm a part of the Edgewood Food Bank Ministry, where the students from here comes over and help us service our clients that we have. We have 320 we do senior boxes every month, where the seniors get a different box every month. So the help of these young ladies and these young men is grateful for us, because the majority of us over there working are ladies. Some of us have health issues, so these strong men, some of the women's are just as strong as the men. We have to put the food in the clients' cars. We show them how to pack the stuff, how to store it, and they are very good at it, and we really appreciate their help. I'm sorry they are out of school next week, because we are doing senior boxes next week, but we really appreciate their help. If it wasn't for them, sometimes we'll be lost, because they are our extra hand and they are our strength. Awesome. And we really appreciate you guys. We love y'all. Keep up the good work. Samantha is not here, but her husband, the pastor, he's standing in the gap for his wife.
Yeah, and for those that don't know me, I am Pastor Rodney Lyons, right from Edgewood Baptist Church, and then kind of filling in for my wife, who Samantha is our basically the food pantry director over there. And I just wanted to thank the school system and anybody that had anything to do with these young, really leaders of tomorrow coming over. I cannot tell you the difference maker that they have been, because as Doris mentioned, we only have a few volunteers, and some of them have some health issues, and basically without their help, a lot of the needs in the community would not have been met. So I just, again, wanted to take a moment, thank and praise anyone that has allowed the kids to come over, and hopefully that's something that will even continue in next year. And just to kind of give you an idea, even if it's not Senior Box Week, a typical month, our food pantry over here will serve 600 to 700 people. Primarily, the older people and some that may be a little bit less fortunate. So it really is a difference maker. And again, I just want to take a moment and thank everyone that allowed them to come over and to give them a hand. Oh, yeah, also, thank you for allowing us to do that.
With us, we have our professional school counselor, Ms. Jamie Stevens, and we have our administrative secretary, Ms. Brown, with us tonight also, along with our number one, Dr. Ron O'Neill Yeomans.
We appreciate you students for the work you do, and we appreciate the staff that supports them. And many of them are homegrown, and we appreciate that, Mr. Yeomans. Before you were a doctor, you were part of our success story here, and we appreciate what you're sharing with your students, as well as Dr. Dandy Daniels. We appreciate her giving back to her community and that project. Thank you for highlighting that was something you carried on after she moved on. I hope we can send her some thank yous for that and some pictures and accolades for that project. It's been a success. Thank you for bringing the church along. Any parents that were here with those students tonight, thank you for letting them shine for us. That's what it's all about. It's all about the kids, and the time is now. Moving on, we have the civility pledge that as adults we want to model, and thank you students for modeling our mission statement with bringing that community involvement and preparing yourself for how to give back to others. So tonight, board members, please join with me in the pledge for civility. I pledge to build a stronger and more effective school board by advocating for civil engagement, respecting others and their viewpoints, and finding solutions for the betterment of my school district. Thank you. And we have an agenda before us, board members. It was sent to you, and everything should be in order, going through 9.01. So if you'll take a look and make sure that we can receive a motion for the approval of this agenda.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the agenda for tonight.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion about the agenda that's before you? Okay, we'll follow the agenda accordingly. If there's no discussion, we'll receive a vote by a show of hands. Thank you, a unanimous vote, and we do have a full board for those of you that are listening or watching, and our attorney is joining us by phone. We appreciate you, Ms. Allison Hanna, joining us by phone if we need any questions about any of the items that we're covering or parliamentary procedure. Moving along to our chairman's report, I wanted to remind those that are registered, and those that aren't, we'll bring back a report, but there are 4 of us, as well as our superintendent, registered to attend the Day at the Capitol. Is an annual event where we have the opportunity to see our State House at work and talk to them, of course, about what's most important for us right now in April, and that's the budget to keep us being as strong as we possibly can in Colleton County. So those that will have the opportunity to enjoy that tomorrow, the weather is supposed to be good, and we also have a meeting with Superintendent Weaver that's been coordinating with that event at 1 p.m. at her office for just our low country school board members. So it's a chance to interact with school board members as well as our legislator and to visit the state superintendent in her new office. Also, board members, please be mindful that the Rice Festival Parade is right around the corner, Saturday, April the 26th, and you can let Ms. Hyman know if you'll be able to join us, as we love to ride in the parade and have some of our staff that Superintendent Williams is lining up to be with us, and of course our band and other events will be there. So if you can join us that day, it's always a delight to represent our school district. Moving along to item number 3, Ms. Williams does a wonderful job of making sure we recognize our staff, and we enjoy that. And our core value for recognition is every member of Team Colleton works for kids and makes important contributions towards becoming a world-class school system. So we appreciate all of you, but she's going to highlight a few tonight that we want to give special recognition.
Thank you, Chair Strobel, and I'd like to say good evening to all of our board members tonight, and I'd like to say good evening to our staff and all of our teachers and everyone that is here with us tonight. It always gives me great pleasure to recognize our staff members for the Above and Beyond Awards. So tonight we have a staff member from each of our schools, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to call your names. If you're here, please come forward. And then after you are lined up in the front, then I'm going to read a little bit about you that has been written by your principal about your studious help and what you do to make your school a better place. So we're going to start with Bells Elementary School, and we're going to ask Miss Terry Morrison, who is a teacher there, to come forward, please, and give him a hand as he comes. Okay. We also have from Blackstreet Early Childhood Center, Miss Renee Roberts, the instructional facilitator. From Cottageville Elementary, Miss Ashley Cook. From Forest Hills Elementary, Miss Melanie Gonzalez. From Hendersonville Elementary, Miss Lisa Griswold. From Colleton County Middle School, Miss Dorisha Davis. From TCTC, Mr. Reggie Hassel. And from Calc, Mr. Joey Ritter. All right, we have everyone except one. This is great. Everyone in attendance except for one. So now I'm going to read a little about you that was written by your principal. So Mr. Terry Morrison, if you would just step up a little bit while I read about you. All right, so Principal Ferguson said that you are always willing to lend a helping hand. You will volunteer for projects that he is not assigned to simply because he wants to help. He presents ideas to our staff that he believes will benefit our staff and students. He is always a big help to our staff. And this comes from your principal, Principal Ferguson. So let's give Mr. Morrison another round of applause. Miss Roberts, if you would step forward. And this comes from your principal, Principal Pearson. And I forgot to ask, is Principal Ferguson here? Okay. All right. So from Principal Pearson, Ms. Roberts' title is instructional facilitator, but in reality, she does all the things, and she put it in capital letters, all the things, and we are so grateful for her. From leading our PLCs to coordinating our Chromebooks to providing acceleration support to students to making sure all of our staff gets mugged with treats to serving in our to serving as our reading coach in the reading coach capacity as well as our instructional coach. We are so thankful for the many hats she wears. So thank you, Ms. Roberts, for all that you do. Is Principal Pearson here? There she is. Stand up, Principal Pearson. All right, from Cottageville Elementary, Miss Ashley Cook, step forward. And this comes from Principal Allen. Is she here, Principal Allen? Well, Miss Cook led the drama club. Now remember, she's a teacher there, she's an art teacher, and she led the drama club after school, made props, and oversaw the production of the play on a Friday evening. She assisted the children in making their props as well as the background. She was assisted by Donna Douglas, Joyce Ramirez, Jamer Jamar, okay, and say that last name? Hilbrena, Rio Pasino, and Kay Kashina Martin, and Attracta Mangini. She is now working with the Garden Club after school. And I want to say this as well. She's also going to work on a project honoring one of our former teachers, Miss Debbie Price. She's also going to work on that project at Forest Hills Elementary School. Notice I said at Forest Hills. She works at Cottageville. She's going to do that free of charge. Everything is donated, so we want to thank her for that as well. So let's please give Miss Ashley Cook a round of applause. Now, Miss Melanie Gonzalez, if you would step forward, from Forest Hills Elementary School. Ms. Gonzalez plays a crucial role in our MTSS team, consistently advocating for her students and Cougar Cub families. Her dedication and commitment to their success truly make a difference. We are incredibly grateful for the tireless effort she puts in and day out at Forest Hills Elementary School. Let's give Ms. Gonzalez a round of applause. Principal Garino, he's not here. Okay, from Hendersonville Elementary, Ms. Griswold, if you would step forward. Ms. Griswold consistently reflects on ways to improve the climate and culture of Hendersonville Elementary School. Her creative ideas have led to amazing PBIS events and fundraising opportunities to generate additional funds to help all students, not one student, but all students. Ms. Griswold's passion for growing students academically is consistently evident through the countless hours she spends after school tutoring and preparing for the next day's adventure. Good job, and thank you for all your hard work, Lisa Griswold, and that comes from your principal, Principal Smalls. And now from Colleton County Middle School, Ms. Davis, if you would step forward. And this comes from your principal, Principal Peoples. She is very kind-hearted and people-oriented, and she is. She has brought in guest speakers to encourage the students of CCMS, and she is always willing to lend a hand. This is why she should receive the Above and Beyond Award. Let's give Ms. Davis a round of applause. And then last but not least, from our Colleton Adult Learning Center, Mr. Joey Ritter. And this was written by Director Horvath. He says, as the only, he emphasized this, as the only full-time teacher at Calc, Mr. Ritter provides instruction in the areas of reasoning through language arts, mathematical reasoning, social studies, and science. Mr. Ritter has assisted 14 students pass all sections of the GED this year, and he will likely double that number by the end of this year. In addition to the day classes, Mr. Ritter works Tuesday and Thursday evenings until 8:00 p.m. to ensure all of Calc students have access to educational opportunities. He also oversees all of the South Carolina high school diploma classes. Thank you, Mr. Ritter, and let's give Mr. Ritter a round of applause. And I want to say to each and every one of you, thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you do. We know that you have an expansive job, and it's not just the position that you were hired for. So thank you for going above and beyond and doing whatever it takes to make your school and this district successful. So thank you. I'm going to get a picture. Let's give them another round of applause.
Here we go. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Appreciate all you do.
Good seeing you again.
Thank you for all you do.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for all you do. Keep up with them, bro.
Oh, no.
What you do.
Never. Never.
They were talking about somebody.
Chair Strobel, this ends the staff recognition for tonight.
Thank you, Superintendent Williams. That was a beautiful sight, and I can't wait to see that garden, outside classroom at Forest Hills. So keep us posted on that when we can go and visit.
Yes, we will.
Tonight, board members, if you'll take a look at our agenda, we don't have any policy items for first reading. Is there any discussion about an upcoming policy committee meeting? Okay, keep us posted on that. Our next meeting, is not next week because of spring break, but it is April 22nd. So if y'all can get your calendars together, if there are any needs for policies, we could receive first reading April 22nd. Moving on down, we have item number 5, presentations, where Superintendent Williams has given us 7 different items that she will bring as her report. So presentations tonight for our Committee of the Whole, the core value, effective leadership supports learning and optimal performance for all students. Superintendent Williams.
Thank you, Chair Strobel. And before I begin this presentation, I just want to make an announcement to the audience that we are having technical difficulties with our monitors. They have been checked and parts have been ordered. However, they are still not working tonight, but I want you to know that everything is being live streamed, so those persons who are watching online should be able to see the presentations there. So those of you who are sitting here, I just apologize to you for not being able to see those presentations tonight. Okay, so I'm going to get started, and I'll just let you know when to change the slides, because the board members, you can see on your monitors are working.
Thank you.
Okay, so this evening, I'm going to just provide for you a brief overview of the district's strategic plan. And I just want you to know that the updated plan was sent to you for your review and your approval, and I'm going to ask you for your approval at the April 22nd meeting. As you are aware, strategic plans are developed every 5 years, and they are updated annually as required by South Carolina state law. These plans are due, the updated plans are due to the State Department on April 30th of each year, and they become effective on July 1. So if you go to the next slide. So our current plan was developed in 2021, and this plan extends through 2026. So a new plan will need to be developed in the 2026-2027 school year. But I'm going to just talk a little bit about the performance goals and the incremental goals that increase over time. All right, there are 4 performance areas to our district strategic plan. They are district priority, school climate, student achievement, and teacher administrative quality. So the district's priority goal is to increase student enrollment by 5% each year, and that was established back in 2021. So when the plan was written in 2021, our student enrollment at that time was 4,985 students. Our goal in the 23-24 school year was to have our enrollment increase to 5,085. We haven't met that, but our current enrollment as of today is 4,669. So we are continuing to work towards meeting this goal, and the strategies are written in the plan, so you can look in the plan and you'll see all of the action steps and strategies. Okay, next slide. In the school climate performance area, the goal was to increase stakeholder perception of a positive school climate by 5% in each category listed. And then we also have a goal to increase clear, widely available communication as measured by our South Carolina State Department school report card. And the next slide, you can go to the next slide. This is data that indicates our progress in this particular area. So if you look at the data, you'll see in 2021, with the South Carolina Teacher Survey, satisfaction with the learning environment, in 2021, we had 74.4% of our teachers that were satisfied with the learning environment. In the 23-24 school year, we had 90.2%. So from the time we set this baseline, which was in 2021, until 23-24, which was, last school year, because we don't have the results yet for this school year, it has increased almost 20 percentage points. Okay, and then if you look at the chart, you'll see there teacher satisfaction with the social and physical environment. It was 78.6%. It is now 89.6% or 88, I can't see, 88.6%. The parent survey, satisfaction with the learning environment, it was 74.6%. It is now 80.2%. And then the parent survey, satisfaction with social and physical environment, it was 75.8%. It is now 84.6%. And then the student survey, satisfaction with the learning environment, it was 79.9%, and it dropped to 77.2%. And then the student survey, satisfaction with the social and physical environment, it was 79%, and that dropped to 78.7%. So we've seen increases in the teacher and parent surveys, but the student surveys have declined slightly. Okay, next slide. So in the area of student achievement, that goal should state that the percentage of students meeting grade level expectations for achievement and growth on formative and summative assessments will increase. We also look at the percentage of students exhibiting college and career readiness, and per our South Carolina school report card, the data is as follows. You can go to the next slide. And on this slide, you can see in ELA and mathematics and college and career readiness, those particular indicators. You can see in school year 2022-2023, we had 31.5% of our students to meet that academic achievement percentage, and then in 23-24, we had 32.2%. And then in math, 14.4%, and last year, 17.7%. College and career readiness, 47.9%, and then in 2023-24, 55.6%. Then the last performance goal, you can go to the next one. The last performance area is the area of teacher administrative quality. And our goal was to increase the retention rate from 81.8% to 95%. And the next slide has the data. So as you can see from the school report card, 21, which was our baseline year, we had percentage of teachers returning was 85.5%, and then last year, 23-24, it dropped or decreased to 76.8%. And I just want to say that this is just a brief overview of the strategic plan. There are many more indicators and much more data that's embedded within that document. And I want to thank our Academics and Student Affairs, Curriculum Instruction Office, Dr. Jenkins, Mrs. Hedden, and Mrs. McDonald for working on that strategic plan, inputting all of the data. It is a tedious process. But I will ask you to approve this plan. And like I said before, this is our last update before a brand new plan has to be developed in the 2026-27 school year. And that pretty much concludes my presentation of the strategic plan. Do you have any questions concerning the strategic plan?
Ms. Williams, on the 76.8% of teachers not returning, does that include the ones that retire?
That's a very good question. It does. Okay, it does.
Okay.
My staff said it does.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I asked the question.
Okay. Thank you. All right, thank you. So next on our agenda, we have a presentation that was supposed to be done by Ms. Faith Bergiano, but she is under the weather tonight and she will not be able to join us. She will be at our May meeting. So I'm going to ask Mr. Christopher Glover to come up at this time to present the district's discipline data.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
We're going to take a look at the discipline data for the district. We're going to basically take a 3-year comparison, and then we're going to look at each individual school's data as a 3-year outlay on bar graphs. Yes, ma'am. So we're going to start with the elementary school data. That should be on page 3. So if you look at this data across the years, you will see each school for the school year of 2022-2023. All right, the number at the top of the graph indicates the total number of referrals in that location for the school year of 2022-2023. All right, then the next slide will give you the referrals for each school year for for the school year of 2023-2024. So you see the bar graphs, and you get to see how many trending over a period of time. So the next one will give you the data for this school term, 2024-2025, as of April 1st. Next slides will go into a 3-year comparison for each individual school. Any questions so far? Everybody with me? I see nods. That's the teacher in me looking for feedback. All right, so a number of referrals at Bells Elementary School for the 3 years, 2022, 2023, and school year currently 2024-2025. 2024-2025 is as of April 1st. So we can understand where the data is trending over the last 3 school terms. Okay? Next slide will be Blackstreet Early Childhood Center. Next one will be Cottageville Elementary. Next one will be Forest Hills Elementary. The next one is Hendersonville. And last in elementary data is Northside Elementary. Okay. Next, we'll look at our secondary school data. Starting with, again, 2022-23 data for each school. That would be the middle school and the high school. Okay. The next slide should be 2023-2024. Followed by the current school year, 2024-2025. Again, as of April 1st. Okay. Now, next we'll see the 3-year trend data for the middle school. And you'll see 2022, 2023, and 2024 next to each other. Okay? And that again, as of April 1st. The next slide, I gave you a little bit of data about the top 10 infractions for last school term versus this school term. So it gives you a picture of what the top 10 things of discipline infractions are happening at the school last year versus this year. And you can see the differences in the numbers and as well as what those infractions are. Next slide is simply 2024-2025 top 10 infractions. A little bit bigger so you can see it. I was able to spread the data out so you can, old eyes, it's easy on older eyes. Okay? All right. All right, next we'll look at the 3-year trend data for Colleton County High School. And that's a 3-year comparison again, 2022. Then 2023, next to the current year of 2024-2025. Okay. Then this is the top 10 infractions. I don't know if I switched mine around. Does yours say just the single top 10 infractions, or does it have 22, 20? It's just the single? Or is it the 23, 24 next to each other? Single? Okay. When I was numbering, it's a little bit out of order for me. So that's the top 10 infractions for this school term as of April 1st. Okay? The next slide is that comparison of 2023 to 2024-25. And you can see the difference in the type of infraction, the numbers of infraction. Then you can look at the infractions, the same infraction and the numbers compared to 2 different years. All right, is there any questions so far?
I guess my one question is.
Yes, sir.
Hit, kick, punch is when some individual does something and there is no willful participation.
I didn't hear the last part.
There's no willful participation. In other words, you hit me and then I report you, and then you have the problem, as opposed to the fighting, which is willful participation.
Correct.
Okay.
In other words, that's a single individual versus for it to be a fight, you have to have 2 individuals.
Gotcha. Okay.
Any other questions?
Mr. Glover, I have 2 quick ones. The first one is, when does it become a referral? When we have these numbers, is it a referral the moment that the teacher writes it, or is it only counted in these numbers once an administrator has reviewed it, processed it, whatever?
So in simple discipline, it becomes a referral when the teacher puts it in. It depends
and that's what these numbers reflect?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, at some point, if the administrator deems it not to be valid, they can delete it, if that answers what you're looking for.
And do you have those numbers? Is there a way that we could know the raw number of referrals that have been entered in by teachers versus the ones that, in other words, is there a way to know how many are getting kicked out?
That's a very good question. I'll have to check on that for you. Simple discipline is multifaceted, but I have not found that.
Yeah, if you would do that, I would appreciate it. And my
sir.
other question, Ms. Mary Jo, I don't know if it's possible, I think it's the slide before this one that has the single totals on it. Yeah, so I don't see tardies on here.
For 2024, 2025?
Yes.
Okay.
Which
that means it's not in the top 10.
Well, but I don't understand that because on the next one, tardies are very, 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 very high, and we know that we're having an attendance issue not only with coming to class and not coming to class, but also with tardies and stuff. So I'm just a little confused.
My error, sir. My error, because when you look at that, it is, that bar is missing. Yes, sir.
So my question, tardies.
Yeah, it would still be in that data, yeah.
So it would probably be just top 3 probably, we think, infractions, tardies?
No, so when you look at that 2020, the one with the 2, so it will still be the 3rd.
Right. So I'm saying on the next one where it's just showing the single top 10, even though it's not listed on there, tardies would be top 3. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
It would be 3rd. It just was missing from that.
I got you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, the next thing is expulsion data. It'll be the last section of the slide.
I was going to ask about unauthorized devices.
Yes, sir.
Unauthorized devices, are those phones or what?
So unauthorized device could be phones or earbuds or headphones. Generally, that's what the top 3 things are.
Okay.
That's the only ones I could see.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, expulsion data, sorry about that. So in the expulsion data, we don't have 2022, 2023, I'm sorry, 2023, 2024 data, because the way that it was kept, it makes it very difficult to go through and actually pick out what was on each of the expulsion packets, whereas this year, we started to track that data and keep it up to date, like maybe week to week or periodically. Ms. McDonald and I will go in and update the spreadsheet. We created a different spreadsheet with a little bit more data. It makes it easier for us to just go in and, like if I'm at line number 60 this week, when I come back next week, I just go from 60 to whatever we're at, and I just calculate and input that data. So you look at this table, you have each of the schools who have turned in a expulsion packet to the left, followed by the number of packets that's given from each school. Then we have students that have been given, that have had packets that have an IEP. And of those packets, we have the number of students that were actually sent back to school. And then the students that were referred to CAS or Impact, which no one gets referred from Impact from an expulsion. We don't see those students. And next we have the total number of students that have been expelled from the district for each school. And then we have the total number of IEPs that have been overturned that were sent to CAS, if that makes sense. So if a student has an IEP and their discipline infraction, and by the hearing officer deemed that they will go to CAS, you know, parents have a appeal process, and if they go through the appeal process and that packet is overturned, then that's the data from those numbers. And the last thing on the end is just a total number of, that's just my check and balance for making sure everything on the left ended up on the right. Okay, that kind of concludes our data for discipline. Any other questions?
All right, Mr. Glover, so I've got one here. Can we go back one slide, Ms. Mary Jo, to the expulsion? All right, so, and I have brought this up numerous times just in my short tenure on the board. I have a real hard time understanding how something gets to the point where our building principals send for a recommendation of expulsion, and then that gets kicked back, and basically that principal's recommendation isn't honored, right? So if we look at the high school, there were 80 expulsion packets sent, 32 of those were sent back, right? So those students, so that's, if my quick math is correct, that's somewhere like 40% of them are kicked back. CCMS, that's like 70% of the expulsions that are sent by the middle school are sent back to the school. So we have this issue where obviously the teacher has been involved, and the teacher there have been write-ups and referrals and stuff, and then something has happened where we get to the point where the building principal says, okay, we need to initiate an expulsion hearing. Why do we have such a high number of these that are being sent back to the schools and the expulsion or alternative placement is not happening?
So each of these incidences have its own uniqueness, but the majority of those numbers that are sent back are because the fighting is automatic expulsion packet. So every time a student fights, doesn't necessarily mean that they need to go to CAS. So a lot of times the hearing officer will look at the information presented. The student has been suspended for 4 to 7 days, and they will send that student back to school. But that's generally where that number comes from.
Okay.
Board members?
And I'm going to piggyback on that question. If fighting is an automatic recommendation for expulsion, then do we need to change something because this to me looks like, just as you said, 80 children have been asked to leave because of their behavior, and then they're sent back to school. So is there some way that we can change the policy that is not automatic? Because as a teacher in the classroom for 1,000 years, if I sent a child and suggested they be expelled, I want them out. And so I'm trying to understand if we need to change that automatic up for expulsion if you fight, because that then gives us the idea that you can do this and there's no consequence.
And I just want to interrupt just for a second, Mr. Nixon. And this goes back to our conversation that we were having last night in our budget work session. The number one complaint that I get from teachers in our district today is, I have an issue in my classroom, I write a referral, I send that out, the kid gets sent back to class. So my grave concern is when we see these that have risen to the level, even if it's automatic, right? Even if it's an automatic thing, why are we sending these kids back to the school when something happened where they were an issue? And again, the conversation we had last night about making things better in the classroom for our teachers, if we're just constantly sending, and I don't want to label anybody or anything, but if we're constantly sending problems back to the teacher and back to the classroom, well, if I was a teacher, I'd be looking for a way out. You know what I mean? So these numbers are very concerning to me from that point of view, and you being a former educator, I'm sure you wouldn't be happy if you thought one of your kids needed to be expelled, that paperwork happened, and then next week that kid's back in your classroom. I'm sure you're going to feel some type of way about that. So these are the kind of numbers that bring me great concern.
So I just want to clarify some things. And as Mr. Glover stated, each one of these cases, when a student is put up for expulsion, each case is different. So when that student goes up before that hearing officer, the hearing officer listens to the case, listens to what happened, and everything is not always cut and dry. So that hearing officer has to make that decision. Does this infraction allow the student to go to CAS, or can the student be sent back to school? So remember, when you fight, that's an automatic recommendation for expulsion, whether you started the fight or somebody started the fight with you. So all of these things have to be taken into consideration before that hearing officer makes their determination. We do have, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we do have a number of students who are face-to-face at Cass, our alternative school, and we also have a number of students who are virtual Cass, who are getting their education virtually. So I just want you to know that we don't take these things lightly, but we have to make sure that we give our students due process, listen to the cases. That's why we have a hearing officer, and students can also have representation at those hearings as well. So I just wanted to put that out there, that they're not just automatically sent back to school. There are cases that have to be heard, and then decisions are made based on those cases.
And I appreciate that, Superintendent Williams. I just want to reiterate the point. If our teachers in our classrooms are having an issue with the student, they write a referral, there's a recommendation for expulsion, whatever it may be, I really think we need to look at this overall system to make sure that if we are having issues in our classrooms, disruptions, whatever it may be, that we are not putting those back in the classroom to continue to be disturbances or cause issues.
Thank you, Superintendent Williams, and board members for discussion. Any other comments? Superintendent Williams, we appreciate the deep dive, and Mr. Glover, it was very easy to follow and read, and we appreciate that, and making the note of the one block that was missing. Thank you. We appreciate that, and the deep dive allowed a great conversation. And Ms. Williams, we know we can look at other schools and research with your staff, ways that maybe we could improve that appearance that kids are going back to school that maybe need to have a different setting to improve behavior in our classrooms. But we thank you. Very good information. We want to welcome and thank two of our county council members that were able to pop in. I know they have many meetings of their own, and we appreciate Chairman of County Council, Mr. Scott Beering, and Councilman Mr. Johnny Frank for being here, for attending our meeting, and we try to do the same when we can to yours. So thank you for the community effort. Moving along, Ms. Williams, we know your report will continue with a deep dive into looking at the summer learning program, and we look forward to hearing about that.
Yes, thank you. And we call Ms. Janice Hedden up to give you more information about our summer learning program.
Working, I don't think. Now it is. Thank you. Good afternoon, school board members. I'm just going to present on the summer learning program plans for our school district. I appreciate the opportunity to share updates with you and our school community. Our theme for this summer program is going to be going on a summer safari. The mission for our summer program is to grow our students through engaging instructional practices, enrichment, and empowerment. The purpose of our summer learning program is to provide additional instructional support and enrichment experiences for our students, which we do that, and on slide 3, you will see a Read to Succeed. I'm going to get into that a little bit later in detail, so just know that I will discuss the Read to Succeed students, which are our current third grade students, in detail in the next few slides. Our school day for our summer learning program will begin at 8 a.m. and it will conclude at 2 p.m. We will actually have 2 campuses. We'll have one at Forest Hills Elementary, and that will house our 4K students, our second graders, our third graders, our migrant students. Then we will also have another campus, which will be at the Colleton County Middle School. There we will have our GAP students for grades 6 through 8. We will have our content recovery Twilight students for our high school, and then we'll also have our middle school content recovery students. Transportation and our food services will be provided for all students except for our middle school content recovery students and our Twilight students. And when I spoke a minute ago, I talked about we will have engaging instructional practices. We will offer an engaging curriculum to our students. We have book studies for our students. We'll have a librarian on staff, and we'll have Arts Grow, who in a partnership that will offer arts-infused lessons. We start the day off by doing morning meetings, and we typically close with closing circles. We offer incentive programs for our students for behavior, student of the week, and also for attendance. We will provide one field trip per grade level for our students at Forest Hills. Attendance. Attendance is very important for our summer learning program. We only have our students for 16 days. Our program runs from June the 2nd through June the 26th. So a student that attends cannot miss more than 2 absences. And you might ask, what happens if a student does miss more than 2 absences? They will be dropped from the program. So we make sure that we provide that information to the parents up front, and they're in agreement before the student takes that seat. Staffing for our program. We'll have a director, reading coach, reading interventionist, teachers, assistants, librarian, office clerk, power school clerk, and a school nurse at our Forest Hills program. For our GAP program, we will have a director, teachers, and an assistant. For our Twilight program and our middle school content recovery program, we will employ teachers, and we'll have a nurse on staff also at the middle school. Our principals will act as directors for both the Twilight and the Colleton County Middle School Content Recovery Program. Student applications. We will send out student applications on April the 21st. They will close on May the 2nd. They will be sent to students who are in need of content recovery and for our Read to Succeed students. Students will receive instruction in the core programs. At Forest Hills, they'll receive ELA and math instruction. At the middle school and the high school programs, they will receive instruction in math, ELA, science, social studies, and maybe even some of the business courses. I told you a minute ago that I talked to you about the 3rd grade Read to Succeed students. I just want to give you a little bit of a background on them. They are special, and we have special guidelines for them. Back in 2014, Governor Haley signed into law our Read to Succeed, which is Act 284. Last year, Governor McMaster signed Act 114 into law. And basically, for that particular law, it was saying that they want to improve the literacy rates of our 3rd graders in South Carolina, and they want to make sure that our instruction for our general reading, intervention, and any kind of reading services are based on the science of reading. So that means that students will receive instruction in phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. And teachers do deliver explicit instruction in those areas. So for our 3rd grade students, if they score a does not meet on the 24-25 South Carolina ready test, then they will either be retained unless they meet a good cause exemption. And we have several of them. So for our first good cause exemption, it would be for students with limited English proficiency and less than 2 years of instruction in English. For our second option is concerning students who have an IEP and they have received instruction in reading for more than 2 years, but that student still does not demonstrate reading proficiency. For our third good cause exemption is for students who successfully participate in the summer reading camp, and at the end of the camp, they retake South Carolina Ready Test, and they score at an acceptable rate. And I will just tell you that the State Department this year has decided we're not doing that option. We're not going to re-administer SC Ready, okay? Just letting you know that. For our fourth option, again, it would be for the students who came to the reading camp, and we administer a statewide summative assessment, which would be iReady, and they receive an acceptable score of 489 or above, and those students would be eligible for promotion. And then our last good cause exemption is for students who have received at least 2 years of reading intervention and who have been previously retained. So those are some of the areas that we hit, we accept the students into the third grade camp, and that's why we have such a heavy emphasis on the reading, because we work really hard and the students work really hard during those 16 days to be retested and to see if they reach that 489. What happens if they don't? They will be retained, and the parents can appeal that decision to the superintendent. So it's very important during those 16 days that we have very high expectations, both academically and behaviorally, for our students. So during the program, we do not have a large staff. We have a very minimum staff to keep our costs down, and we do not tolerate behavior issues. If there are behavior issues, the students will be dropped from the program. Again, I told you a little while ago who received the transportation and the breakfast and lunch. Just so you'll know that if the students ride the bus, it's a privilege, and if they do receive bus referrals, again, they will be dropped from the riding. So they can still attend summer reading camp, or for the summer recovery programs, the parents would have to provide that transportation. Mr. Bradley is working with us to get bus drivers for the summer, and we cannot really tolerate any type of behavior issues. At this time, I'll be glad to take any questions that you may have about the summer camp.
Ms. Hedden, I appreciate the wonderful presentation. It looks very exciting and very structured. Are we able to include any educational field trips this year? I know we're limited on our funds.
So for 4K and second and third grade and migrant, each of those groups will go on a field trip. Now for our Twilight students and our CCMS students, they will not be going on field trips. They're purely there for content recovery.
Okay.
The middle school program will be charging a fee this year because we do not have a specific fund for funding that particular one. Our GAP program is an enrichment program, and they also do go on field trips. They will be going on a field trip this summer.
Thank you. I wondered about the children's library. The reading camp looks so exciting, but I didn't know if the children's library is able to connect, or the kids get an opportunity to go there to experience our county library.
Typically, no, because we have to make sure that we have so many hours of instruction within the camp. We are monitored by the state. They will come in and do monitoring visits. They do observations. So we try to really keep the trips out and away from the camps to a minimum, because we have to, 16 days, you don't have that much time. You really have to push the children to get them where they need to be. We do give progress reports to the parents halfway through and then at the very end. So we do try to keep our parents, up to date on the progress of the students. We meet with the students as well. We monitor them very closely. Last year we were able to have a fuller program, but I still feel that we will have a robust program this year.
Thank you. Maybe a commercial by the Children's Library or some collaboration there where the parents could be encouraged to take those kids to visit. I know my grandchildren love it, and it's a special treat to get to go there and see. The Children's Library is wonderful at our library. So maybe we can encourage parents to do that as an outing.
I meant to say, too, we do bring in Ms. Sheila twice during the program, so she will be coming in and meeting with our students for a short amount of time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, this is great for students up to grade 3, but because we have students in the higher grades who are not reading at grade level, have we ever considered offering some sort of reading literacy courses during the summer for those students who've been identified as reading below grade level? Because testing, if you do math tests, you have to read.
Everything.
And reading comprehension is so important in that. Have you considered that for the upper levels classes in reading comprehension?
We've had more of a robust program in the past when we had ESSER funds, and it was more robust, it was more comprehensive, and it did, contain certain elements of that. However, since ESSER's gone away, we are really trying to cut it back because of the fact that we have a limited amount of funding.
So we need to find a pot of money somewhere. Okay.
Yes, Ms. Williams, that goes along with the grant writer we were talking about, at least part-time, so we can find some funds. That's a great idea, Mr. Nixon, to get the reading up during the summer. And our English teachers usually used to encourage that, so I'm sure they have incentives for getting kids to read during the summer. Thank you. Other board members? Thank you, Ms. Hedden.
You're welcome.
We look forward to good results from those extra efforts for our children. Ms. Williams, we appreciate the opportunity to have a deep dive for what you would like us to know about adult ed from Mr. Chris Horvath. Welcome.
Thank you very much, board members. Again, thank you, and thank you, Mrs. Williams, all the district leaders, county council, as well as all of our valued guests here and online. So for Carlton Adult Learning Center, our motto is Catch Your Future Today. And in just a few minutes, roughly 10, I'd like to provide you with an overview of your adult education provider here in Carlton County as a part of Carlton County School District. In doing that, there may be a bunch of stuff that I don't get to. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, email, or come on by and visit. We're open day and night, many, many times throughout the year. So on your first slide, I'd just like to stress that we build bridges. We're very collaborative, and that is by law, but also by nature, in order for us to leverage our funding, leverage our staff, and all of the potential that we have. We like to work together with other folks. So as a part of the school district, we simply could not be here, located right here in this building, if it was not for the rest of the leadership team, operations. You look at the technology and the support that they provide as well. There's a smart board in every single classroom. There's a 25 computer lab. There's a 25 computer lab, and there's, I think, another 14 computer lab. There's 4 computers in every class. So without technology, without operations, we simply would not be able to do what we do. We are a part of South Carolina Department of Education. In addition to being your adult ed provider, we also do other things. And so just a quick overview of the federal and the state things that we participate in. We are the Region 4 Technical Assistance Network. What that means is we provide professional development for adult educators for about 1/4 of the programs in the state of South Carolina. So our program coordinates with the Department of Education and services all those programs from Aiken over to Orangeburg, Calhoun, down into Berkeley. Everybody south of that, we provide the professional development. We do that online, we do that face-to-face here. I am also the workforce liaison, so if you look at the Low Country Council of Governments and their workforce board, I'm on the board, but I also provide information to the rest of the adult ed providers within that region, as well as the greater Trident workforce area, which is Berkeley, Charleston, and Dorchester. We receive both state and federal funding. It is competitive, and it is also based upon our performance. So a large part of that funding is how well we do. In other words, if someone comes and sees us and they pass the GED, we get a little bit of money. But we're really the future of education now. We are graded on their second and fourth quarter outcomes after they leave us. So the Department of Employment and Workforce sees if they're employed. Are they in post-secondary training? They do that second and fourth quarter, and they see what their median income earnings are. And they have to make sure they meet a certain level in order to count towards our state report card. We're part of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, and that's federal legislation, and it may change names in the future, but basically that puts together a bunch of partners to provide a product to the adult learner in Colleton County and across the nation. So for us, we work with vocational rehabilitation, the South Carolina Commission on the Blind. We work with the SC Works centers, and you'll see Ross. Ross is integrated workforce solutions, and when they come to us, they take the tests of adult basic education. There are 6 levels that they can score on, 1 being the lowest, 6 being the highest. 6 would be like a senior in high school. 1 would be emerging literacy or numeracy skills that they possess. So when they come to us, they may qualify through the SC Work Center for WIOA funds, federal funds, for post-secondary training and education. So they can go to places like Technical College of the Lowcountry, Palmetto Training, a local workforce provider that's approved by the state to receive those funds. Things like truck driving, CNC, welding, and all those kind of things can be funded up to $5,500. At Adult Education, we also have the Adult Education Family Literacy Act. That is our federal funds that were provided through the State Department of Education. Broken down, we receive roughly 1/3 federal funds, 2/3 state funds. AFLA requires that we have career pathways. So we choose 2, basically. We choose allied healthcare and manufacturing. And with that manufacturing, we also loop in truck driving too, commercial truck driving. And so we contextualize our instruction when folks come in and provide them with that pathway. I've mentioned already the Technical College of the Lowcountry partnership. This morning, we had a CNA class. Right now, we have a CNA class. Next month, we'll have a phlebotomy class. So all of those things are available to the public right here in this building because Mrs. Williams continued that agreement with Technical College of the Lowcountry, in addition to our valued partners like Palmetto Training and other folks in the community. And then finally, with Palmetto Breeze, that's that 15-passenger bus that you may see running around town. We've had the privilege of actually writing that grant with the local workforce board for the state workforce board. But our students, we provide them with a ticket. It costs us $1, but they get to ride for free. So that loops through Voc Rehab, SC Work Center, Walmart, all the way out to where I live towards the interstate. So that's a mode of transportation that addresses the issue of the lack of transportation within this great, really large county that we have. So we try to do those things about it, do something about those things. The next slide, before we get into the really exciting things, is just a breakdown of the Workforce Innovations and Opportunity Act. There are different titles. We're Title II, we're Adult Education. So we cover things like literacy, adult basic education, adult secondary education, which just means that you're on the secondary level or high school level, as well as workforce preparation. The map on your right just shows you some of the workforce areas, and there are 12 in the state. Now, to the exciting stuff. Career pathways. So we have a student services coordinator and a college career navigator. But listen to this. Now it's only one position. So we're looking forward over the horizon. We're capitalizing on how the funds we have and ensuring that we can operate at a lower cost, not an increased cost, to save the district money. And so Nick Fanchette is currently that coordinator, and he's doing a great job. He looks at labor market information to see what the needs are within the district, within the county. And again, we've talked about those three already: healthcare, manufacturing, and commercial driving. We contextualize that instruction through innovative practices like Medical Monday, or how about Manufacturing Monday, the opposite. Workplace Wednesday addresses all of those general workplace kind of attributes that a person needs to have to not only get a job, but to keep it. So with integrated education and training, if you look to your right, you'll see some phlebotomy classes, and you'll see our lab for the Technical College of the Lowcountry. That lab can be used for everything all the way through patient care technician. But what we do is we offer dual enrollment, so that a student pursuing a traditional high school diploma, which they can through adult education, or by passing the GED, bragging on Joey Ritter for getting all those folks past the goal line, they can actually enroll in those classes. Some of those classes you do not need a high school credential to enroll in, for example. And then everybody has an education to employment plan at Carlton Adult Learning Center, because that is our end goal, is getting them there through and getting them a really nice job. We have begun to offer to the State Department of Education the North Star Digital Literacy Certification, and it will show you those basic things that they have to pass a test on, each one of those areas, and we provide the instruction as well, in order to show their employers that they are digitally literate. Next is just an example of contextualized instruction, and this is for Medical Monday, but really you can use this for anything. You know, if you're talking about something that is inferior, like infer, which would be the second bullet down, that's my sign to stop. You'll be able to see that we can relate that to many things. So there are things that are below the truck bed. There are things that are below as far as the lower part of the body, and you can do all those things. And that's what we do while they're in class with us. And then finally, the last two sides. Over 6,000 Colletonians served since 2003. During our last grant cycle, which lasts 5 years, we served over 1,100 Colletonians. 67% of the people who come to see us are on what we talked about earlier, those educational functioning levels, 1 being the lowest, 6 being the highest. 67% walk through the door 1 through 3. If you do the numbers, there are far more people passing the GED and also earning high school diplomas than what those levels show. So our teachers are doing a great job. If you look at just the past 2 years alone, 46 South Carolina high school diplomas, high school equivalency diplomas passing the GED, 4 South Carolina high school diplomas, 41 South Carolina ready-to-work certificates, 38 were enrolled into the Technical College of Lowcountry Workforce classes. We provided 180 TABE-only and WIN tests to our core partners because they needed entrance to head towards post-secondary. And again, the number of people and where they enter the program and where they exit, the team is just doing a phenomenal job. And talk about phenomenal, we just had a student who was in front of you not too many weeks ago, Arturo. He is our first student to earn a perfect score on the math test of 200 for GED. So I said he was going to be doing well when he actually shook hands with you. He did better than well. 200, and again, Joey Ritter is his teacher. That's phenomenal. And he came from an ESL class, so Tina Breeze, Lisa Beach, all those folks. So far, not counting the graduates that we talked about, 10 more have passed 3 out of the 4 parts, 4 more passed 2 or more parts, and 4 have passed 1. So we're looking at doubling the number on the GED graduates. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes everything I have to say. I always like to say I invite you back over to adult education anytime you would like. And if you have any questions, despite the dry mouth, I took some allergy medicine, I apologize. I'll do my best to answer them.
Madam Chair, if I may, Mr. Horvath, do you have other staff here tonight other than Mr. Ritter?
So
Is there any other adult?
No, they're all working. So we
just
have
want to
several
say,
in the building.
I just want to say, I think we probably, as a board, probably do not give our Adult Learning Center enough credit. You guys are doing amazing work, and to hear that we may possibly go from 14 to 28 kids or adult learners this year getting their GED or whatever is just absolutely amazing. So I just want to say thank you for all the work that you guys are doing. Mr. Ritter, I think I heard up here earlier you said that you had been doing this for maybe 10 or 11 years, a short amount of time, right? So just thank you very much for all the work that you guys are doing and everything you're doing to give the adults in our county a second chance, a second opportunity, so they have that hope for a better tomorrow. So just thank you very much for all that you guys are doing.
Thank you, Mr. Irwin, and I concur that Mr. Ritter will double those numbers. It's official now.
That's awesome.
Mr. Horvath, thank you, yes. Mr. Horvath, remind us of the graduation date, because the biggest smiles ever are at that. And you can send it to us. Just remind us, Linda, that we don't miss that at the Performing Arts Center this year, correct?
29th.
The 29th?
29th.
Of April. Thank you. I know
May
of May.
29th.
May 29th. Thank you. I knew we got an email.
Performing Arts Center.
Keep us reminded of that. It's a wonderful opportunity, board members, to see the big smiles. And I just had a couple of questions. I was so happy to hear about CDL, and that training was provided through technical college or the Palmetto training?
So the big issue with any kind of post-secondary training is funding, and there are several funding sources. Vocational rehabilitation has their funding source. DSS has a funding source. Technical College of the Low Country has a funding source. Ross, Innovative Workforce Solutions, they have WIOA funds. So dependent upon the student and what funds they qualify, two easy places would be here in town, it's Palmetto Training, and then out of town for, say, for like CDL, would be Technical College of the Low Country. So those would be two easy places to access that. And then we offer, we're sort of like the gatekeeper, because they'll come through us to make sure they have the appropriate educational skill set to be successful in that program.
Wonderful, and then the funding can flow through your department to whichever agency can serve the student. That's wonderful. And the professional development, I was excited to know that professional development hub is here for those multiple counties. How does that happen, that we're blessed to have people come here for the professional development?
I applied to do that, to be the coordinator, and I have a very gracious staff that does all of the extra work, quite frankly.
Thank you.
For over 10 adult education providers.
Yes.
And they do that, the majority of us, including myself, at no extra cost to anyone. In turn, we're allowed to go to 2 national professional conferences, and the State Department pays for that.
Wonderful. I thought I was going to hear you volunteered for more work, and we appreciate that and the opportunity to serve those other counties. Yeah, it's an honor and a blessing that they get to come here, but y'all take all the responsibility of doing it, and we appreciate that and the travel that is provided for that. So thank you, Mr. Horvath. I know you're not one to toot your own horn, and if you're ever on Hendersonville Highway and you see someone running, you might want to look back and see that it's Mr. Horvath.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Horvath. Ms. Williams, we appreciate that opportunity to find out about all the things that are happening for our students in adult ed and the wonderful things the staff are doing and continuing to give back to our community. Glad our county council was here. I'm sure they learned some new things, as we did, about adult ed, because they're always working when we're in meetings. tonight, Ms. Williams, we have on the agenda for you to give us an update for the school year budget that I know y'all are working daily on, and we appreciate the update that you're going to bring us and the work sessions that you provided us as board members.
Chair Strobel, we will have the first reading of the budget at the April 22nd meeting. Today's meeting, we will not have an update. We had a board work session last night, and then we will have personnel discussions during executive session.
Thank you, Ms. Williams, and thank you, board members, for those that have been able to attend the open work session that we had last night that was open to the public, as well as smaller sessions with Superintendent Williams or virtually. We appreciate that. We know the staff's been working really hard to get the budget ready for our review and our approval, and we'll continue that process. It's a process. As we receive more information for a first reading next meeting, which is April 22nd. We'll receive a first reading.
That is correct.
You'll notice in your emails, Ms. Williams provided yesterday electronically for our review, and she can provide whatever other information that you need for that review as we received in meetings. But if you need electronically, she can provide that. Any questions, board members, comments? Okay, we look forward to moving on. We don't have anyone that needs to attend our meeting as far as a board member. Electronically, Ms. Whitcomb stepped out to see her son at a baseball game where she hopes he'll be able to pitch tonight, and she will join us as she can in person in the back and as we close. Just a commercial before we entertain a motion to go into executive session. The Luttons are here, and if you want to find out more, there's a plant sale that everyone looks forward to, and you need to get there early. They don't pre-sale, even to board members, but if you want to be there at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, first come, first serve, and it's an event to see people show up in a line to go buy our beautiful plants that last longer than any of the plants you'll buy anywhere else, because they've been treated with love in the greenhouse by our students. So 9 to 3 on Saturday, it's a great event. Board members, I'll entertain a motion that we move into executive session.
Madam Chair, make a motion that we move into executive session for items number 7.01, discussion of employment matters, hiring, separation, resignations. Item number 7.02, discussion and receipt of legal advice regarding superintendent's contract and goals. Item number 7.03, discussion and receipt of legal advice regarding policy BDH board consultants.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Stopper, I appreciate you being complete with that motion, and I'll reiterate as chair. Our executive session tonight has 3 topics that we'll be discussing. If we need to take action when we come back, we will, and those items will include a discussion of employment matters, a discussion that we might want to receive some legal advice on 2 topics, the superintendent's contract and goals, as well as a policy concerning board consultants. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll receive the vote for entering into executive session for the discussion of 3 topics. A show of right hands, and we have a full vote. We'll enter into executive session, and as we return, if we need to take action, we will. Thank you. We enter back into open session.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we enter back into open session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second that we enter back into open session. Thank you for those of you that are watching and still in attendance. And the action that needs to be taken, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Madam Chair.
Oh, we didn't vote to go back in, y'all.
Oh, we didn't vote.
So we had a motion and we had a second. So any discussion about coming back in open session? If I hear none, now a right hand. Thank you. We are back in open session. Everybody agrees that we are back in open session. Thank you. Y'all weren't even going to stop me, were you? So we now have some action that needs to come before the board that Mr. Nixon's going to share with us.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendations for certified staff contracts for the 25-26 academic school year.
Second.
There's a motion and there's a second that we will accept the contracts for certified staff for the upcoming school year. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, I want to express my full and unwavering support for all of our certified teachers. The job that they do for our district is amazing, and they deserve all of the commendation in the world. However, I cannot support this motion tonight, not because of the certified teachers, but because of the other positions that are included in this motion, knowing that we are facing a financial crisis until we have more clear answers on our financial situation. It's just not something I can support. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Irwin. Is there any other discussion before we take a vote? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion that we accept the recommendation that was given to us by Superintendent Williams for the certified staff to receive their contracts for the upcoming school year, please show a right hand. All opposed? So the motion carries 5-2. Board members, at this time, I will entertain a motion that we adjourn, and I want to remind those that are signed up for the Capitol Day and the Superintendent Weaver to see Secretary Whitcomb before you leave. And if there are no other action to come before the board, I'll consider a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion about adjourning? All those in favor, show your right hand. Thank you. We all agree that we are adjourned.